Former IPS and ex-member of the NSAB with us, Lieutenant General S. Harimon Iyer with us, former Chief of Staff, Northern Command, Ambassador Deepak Vora, former diplomat with us, and also Sushant Sareen. My namaste and Jai Hind to everybody. Thank you for your time. Kulbir Krishanji, I'd like to start with you. This trend of creating and grooming white-collared radicals, is this a new one, or has this been a phenomena for a while?
It's been there for a while. But the extent which has been done this time is new. And doctors in particular have not really been used so much. And this ring of doctors, they are like doctors of death rather than doctors of treatment. But educated people being radicalized has been there for the last 10-15 years. And it's been more in South India than in the North, but it's been there and it has to be tackled. In fact, I would like to take you back to an explosion which occurred in Burdwan on 2nd October 2014, which was done by Jamiatul Mujahideen Bangladesh. It was a bomb which exploded accidentally, but their wives were caught and they had been running a women's cell of the JMB.
Yeah.
So here when we see Dr. Shaheen trying to form a women's cell, it is something which was done at least 10 years back. And that time also the NIA had taken over, charge-sheeted the case. The main accused managed to flee back to Bangladesh, but the case was charge-sheeted and gave good results. So here also we have to double back on radicalization, and the universities, the colleges, the classmates, the faculty, the family members, all have to be alert, because it can't be done just by the police or the security agencies.
General Harimon Iyer, your thoughts? If I may ask, because Jammu and Kashmir, in that region, oftentimes this has been spoken about. They were all branded as OGWs. If you were to say hybrid terrorists, you were supposed to say white-collar terrorists, people would say, why brand them thus? And then largely this whole narrative was they are all economically backward, they are from very humble beginnings and they can be fooled, they're gullible, etc. This lot doesn't seem to be gullible. And it mirrors what the likes of Masood Azhar and Rauf Asghar were saying on the other side, where they called for women to start recruiting, facilitating and start forming these cells and grooming individuals.
Yeah. Thank you for having me on your show, and good evening to all your fellow panelists. Firstly, my experience with Kashmiri doctors was during the COVID period. And I was working with them in J&K, in both Jammu and Kashmir region. And I found them to be a very professional lot of people. In fact, I was very appreciative of the way they came forward and helped us manage COVID in entire J&K. So to that extent, when I look at the current set of people who got involved in terror, it's an eye-opener. At least from J&K, I had not seen these kind of people being involved in terror. What we saw was, like you said, young youths under 20, 21 years of age, misled by people. You had those Burhan Wani kind of people, Facebook prodigies, people who wanted to show their youth to the people. Not these kind of people. And second issue which actually is bothering me is it only Delhi or is it pan-India? Because you find these people go for education all over India. So if radicalization has spread amongst them, people go for engineering and medical college education across India. They are given seats in almost all engineering and medical colleges across India. If that be so, where all these people have infiltrated and whatever level up to which they have got radicalized, this is a very, very major lesson to be taken from this event that has happened. And I'm sure our intelligence and security agencies are working into these angles, because it's a dangerous precedent, and to have 3,000 kgs of explosives and being managed by people like them, all having facilities, capabilities, multiple vehicles, communication and possibly even reach, because these people may have been treating or attending to patients of in service and in various level of government agencies. So I don't know how much these people have infiltrated, and that is a bigger cause of concern as of now, because I never thought that this kind of people will also get involved in terrorist kind of activities.
Most of them, we are given to understand, are between their earth, who turned Maulvi, but before that he was a paramedic at GMC, and all these people have studied at GMC. In fact, the two lady doctors who are also now currently under the radar and have been detained for facilitation, they also, from Dhaka Medical College, they also came to intern at the GMC Srinagar when Irfan was there. Irfan then moves to become the Maulvi of a mosque in Nogam. And under him, those acolytes who come to listen to those sermons were the three people who were pushing up the Jaish posters that were also recovered from Irfan's cupboard when the cops went there. There again in the presence of a magistrate. So this is very organized, and over the last 7-8 years, he's been in touch with all of them and he's been grooming them.
Thank you very much. A pleasure, sir, as always, to learn from you and from my colleagues who are there. Mr. Saleen is there. I see our police officer. I see our other colleague. Their knowledge is much greater than mine. Let me just put it to you. The Delhi blast was the day the medical profession died. Old Hippocrates would have turned over in his grave. I have a message here from my group. I've just returned from the US, from my walking group, early morning group of doctors, of academics, journalists, diplomats, and others. One of them, I'll just read briefly the message. It was a condolence, Ambassador, very sorry about what happened. I promise you, please listen to this, sir. I promise you, if I go to a hospital and my doctor is a Muslim, I will not be treated by him. This is one man, a journalist from the United States, telling me this. I don't know how many other people feel this. So if these fellows have tried to murder and have murdered so many Indian citizens, they've also murdered the profession. Now, when you've talked about educated people, already say, "Bhai, padhai kara do iski, koi garib aadmi hai, padha likha nahi hai, it's easy to sway him." No, it's not. The aam aadmi, the chap on the street, will not go in for this. He'll do a quick assessment, ye karne se mujhe kya fayda hoga. But these people, at the top of their professions, at the top of the social hierarchy, for them to do it. And sir, may I just say to you also that when we talk about radicalization, that's not the right word. For me, it's suicidation. They want to kill themselves and take others because the tenets of Islam, sir, please forgive me for not being politically correct. What is it? It's reproduction. If you get married, have 300 children. It's conversion, convert as many as you can, and it's elimination. Those you can't convert, eliminate them. These are the three basic tenets. So may I just put it to you like this, that this character he was a paramedic and then became an imam, etc., do these three, I'm sure they don't, because their brains have gone. There is, instead of brain, there is ricin in their brains, sir. I think their parents infected them with ricin, because your mindset is formed in the first 10 years of your life. That's when your parents play the most important role. And I think these guys were injected with ricin. How can anybody, I failed, I'm angry, sir. One of my friends lost his son. I'm angry, sir. This shouldn't be happening. And hats off to our investigating agents. Did a brilliant job in dotting the T's and dotting the I's and crossing the T's and tracing the whole movement. May I just simply say, sir, now, I'm sorry, I get very upset about this, so forgive me. May I just say that Bharat has changed that night, sir. And now we are going to look at everybody from this community with suspicion. And my driver, my PSO, they say, "Yahan mat jaiye, Musalman ki dukaan hai." What do I tell them, sir? Do I be politically correct and the great guy? Oh, we are secular? Like hell we are secular. What about secularism from these guys? Did the character who blew himself up know whether the chaps in the car next to him were Hindus or Muslims or Christians or Sikhs? He couldn't care less. He wants his 72, whatever he gets in his demented paradise. So my own feeling, sir, now every citizen of this country has to be a citizen soldier. Ye dusre ka kaam hai, ye mera kaam nahi. Nahi, sir. Nahi, sir. We are developing already much greater security sense that we will not stand for this anymore. And Jihadistan, where it originated, sir, there's no point. Mr. Saleen will may agree or may not agree with me. There's no point being nice to these people. One of my foreign service colleagues says, let's engage with them. I say, send them an engagement ring. We've been engaging with them for 75 years. What have we got? Nothing. The only way is to eliminate them, sir. Break them up so that they're never... You can't change their minds. Just break them up so that they are not in a position to hurt us. I'm sorry if I'm sounding terrible, sir, but then I am angry today, sir.
There are many who would be angry, and there is a situation where those who are not part of it, or those who don't think like this, belonging to the same community, get broad brushed. The intent is not to broad brush and call everyone a terrorist. That's not the case. But the fact is that unless the community overall at large comes out and outrightly dismisses such elements and says no, they don't represent us, and say that this is not how India or any Indian will think, then there is going to be a problem. And this is what also allows the enemy to further sow the sense of divide. It's a heads I win, tails you lose kind of a situation for the radicals, because the act of a few then broad brushes the entire community. Then that community feels the brunt of it from those who are not from that community. There is a fissure in society, and then these radicals get to try and capitalize on that again. But the other thing you said is the mindset. You can break their backs, but you can't change their mind. Now, what do we do in a situation like that? Sushant Sareen, thank you for your patience. Go ahead, please.
Look, this is not the first time this phenomena is unleashing itself. It has unleashed itself over the centuries. Go back 100, 150 years back, and the areas which were then in India, now in Pakistan and Afghanistan, witnessed a lot of upsurge, including areas in the Hindi heartland, the Gangetic Plain. The British took cognizance of it, and they cracked down and they wiped it out. And you have to understand one thing, this is most dumbing down of terrorism is done when you bring in this leftist socialist ideology and try and apply it to terrorism and say that, poverty or lack of education. And you will see people, including in this government, say that if we give them computers, things will improve. No, it will not. It's good to educate people of your country, citizens of your country, but you have to be very clear that at the end of the day, terrorism is not about poverty, it's not about lack of education, it's about an ideology, it's about a political ideology. For want of a better word, I'll call it Islamism. And very clearly, this is what you have to combat. Now, please tell me, Anand, you have been watching this entire thing for at least more than a decade that I have known you. I've been watching it for almost 3 decades. Please tell me, since the early 90s when this thing erupts in India, and now we are talking about 35 years, please tell me, how much have we combated it at the psychological level, at the ideological level, and at the political level, in the sense that political level, what I mean is that, we've seen some of the statements coming out from people of Samajwadi Party today, including people of the Congress Party. I can understand opposition politicians targeting the government and questioning how come this cell was operating, why wasn't it busted earlier? Again, that criticism is disingenuous, because had you busted it earlier, you would have then attached some political motive to it. But I can still understand that kind of criticism. What I can't understand is the kind of statements we've heard from some former MPs of Samajwadi Party and others. And what this does is that it actually gives covering fire to terrorism. It makes it sound kosher. And it gives an impression that, look, if you've done something and even if you get caught, maybe tomorrow the government will change and you'll get off, which we have seen. People, cases being withdrawn, dreaded terrorists being given Ayurvedic massages in Kerala, all kinds of things we have seen in this country. So you haven't fought it at the political level. You haven't said that this is a red line no political party will cross, no matter what the vote bank politics is.
Right.
Second, please tell me, have you combated it at the ideological level? Do you even know what you're talking about? Do you even know how to do it? And I don't agree with Ambassador Vora out here. His broad, I can understand his anger, but I don't agree with him insofar as how to combat it. That is not the ideological way of combating it. That's a knee-jerk reaction which comes out, which is very normal. But at an ideological level, you need to combat it. You need to have a strategy to be able to do it. And then, of course, is the operational level at which you need to start combating it. So I think when you look at something and then for somebody to express surprise that how come people from who are professionals are getting into this. Look, yaar, the poor guy on the street is too poor to get into all this nonsense, right? He has to eke out an existence for himself. Maybe at best he'll become a foot soldier. Maybe he'll become some kind of cannon fodder. But he is not the kind of a guy who will do this kind of planning. And there are enough studies to tell you that it's the lower middle class, and the higher class guys who get involved in it. Any number of cases I'll give you. People from LSE have been involved in it. People from American universities. People from top Indian universities. Engineers. People who have been working in MNCs have been involved in this. Doctors. This is not the first set of doctors that have been caught doing this kind of stuff. Maybe this network is primarily centered around doctors and doctors spread across the country. But this is not the first time doctors have been found involved in this kind of activity. So I think there is a certain amount of clarity we need when we are talking about terrorism. Unfortunately, I haven't seen enough of that insofar as the government is concerned. Please tell me, Anand, one last point. Please tell me how many people in this country today, we claim that our interaction with Islam is over a millennia, right? How many people in this country, and I'm not talking about the WhatsApp university, right, who have actually understand where this thing comes from within Islam, how this has to be combated. How many people are doing this? How many people understand it?
Right. You raise a fair question, and we'll take that forward. I just want to bring in another dynamic, because you said this is an ideological mindset. This is a mindset and this is a push. There is a thrust. Ambassador Deepak Vora outlined 3 core aspects. There is also this whole thing called Ghazwa-e-Hind. Now, this entire Ghazwa-e-Hind is more than 1,000-year-old phenomenon of political Islam, and the fact that this is the land that remains to be conquered, and they have to, and it is mandated that this has to be conquered for the supremacy of a particular religion and the supremacy of a particular political ideology or thought process. Now, there is a reason why I'm bringing this, because there is a Turkey and a Dhaka connection also now that is very fast emerging, and that should concern us immensely. The ongoing probe has uncovered the chilling picture of a radicalized network that expands beyond Bharat. Intelligence agencies have confirmed that 2 accused, Adil and Muzammil, travelled to Turkey earlier this year, where they allegedly met their handler. The handler arranged their stay, indicating a structured international network. Digital forensic analysis has yielded over 400 encrypted chats between the 2 women doctors, including Dr. Shaheen Shahid, discussing funding, logistics and safe houses. Now, one of them received foreign remittances from Istanbul and also Doha through digital wallets between 2023 and 2024. Both women graduated from Dhaka Medical College and met Maulvi Irfan during their internship in Srinagar at the Government Medical College, when Irfan at that time was not a Maulvi but a paramedic. Now, this phase investigations also now call the turning point in their radicalization. So, it's all happened under Irfan, and they've all studied at that GMC Srinagar, and this is that group which continued to stay in touch, and Irfan continued to radicalize them and engage with them and groom them. Now, sources say the network was digitally skilled, financially backed from abroad, and aimed to establish a pan-Bharat sleeper cell structure. And that's where all the other doctors come into the picture. Intel sources also say that logistical, diplomatic and financial support is also coming to terror groups from Turkey. Sources say Turkey's National Intelligence Organization and state-backed NGOs are systematically supporting radical groups like the Jamaat-e-Islami, Hizbul Mujahideen, and also the Popular Front of India, which now stands banned. So, students, minds, youth, youngsters from Kashmir and also from Kerala are being groomed systematically. Moreover, intelligence agencies are concerned about radicalization spillover from Bharat into Bangladesh. Around 8,500 Bharatiya medical students, largely from Jammu and Kashmir, are studying in Bangladesh, and post the 2024 crisis, groups concentrated across Dhaka, Sylhet, Rajshahi and Chittagong. medical colleges. Sources say they have become a target for ideological grooming under the JMB and also the student wings of the terror entities that have entered these campuses. Also, we are saying that the ISI has officially opened a branch there in Dhaka, and they will also look to engage and groom some of these minds, some of these vulnerable students there. Now, what are we doing about this? Kulveer Krishnanji stays on with us, Ambassador Deepak Vora is with us, Sushant Sareen stays on, and General Harimon Iyer also stays on. Now, Ambassador Deepak Vora, this is a bigger challenge. Those who are ideologically inclined and motivated are busy weaponizing minds. What are we doing, sir? How are we going to protect ourselves from what's happening around the neighborhood?
So why do you refer to it as an ideology? What is their ideology? I'm sorry, I don't understand. Their ideology is Sharia. Their ideology is governments don't matter, borders don't matter.
Yeah.
It's Allah who matters. And what he said so many hundreds of years ago, the glory of Islam. How many countries have they converted to Islam after the Prophet transitioned? One was created, that fool. It's run by some mad mullah called, I think Munni Bhai or something is the fellow's name, calls himself a fool marshal. I mean, how many countries have been converted to Islam, sir? I would like to know. What ideology? Who adheres to that ideology other than the Islamic country, 57, and amongst them also not many do. Turkey used to be totally secular till this buffoon came along. So my question here is, when you say, how do we deal with it? How do you purify the mind? How do you remove the ricin from the mind? And you remove it by banning the madrasas. You remove it by making sure that these kids there get a proper education. You make sure that they are hit, that they are hurt very badly. They are eliminated, sir. Use their own tactics on them. I don't see any other way. We've tried soft peddling, we've tried mollycoddling these guys. What has happened, sir? What the doctors did? I don't know, sir. I don't know. To my mind, the only good terrorist is a dead terrorist, sir. That's the solution that we should follow, sir.
Saddam Hussain is also with us. Saddam Hussain, these details coming through that the Chhatra Shibir, etc., they are radicalizing and entering into and engaging with students to try and weaponize them against Bharat. You see that trend there in Bangladesh?
Thank you for having me. It's true, because you know that the running government is the illegal government chief, Professor Yunus. He is the puppet of the radical Islam, actually, and they are nursing the anti-India hat factory, and they are using every fundamental organizations, whether it is political, cultural, or other organizations, to breeding the fundamental groups, to organize them. And one of their core political agenda is establishing or promoting hatred against India. This is one of their political cards. This is one of their political tools. They use this to cover up their domestic failures. They use this to appeasing the fundamental groups. Just have stronghold their continued unconstitutional power. And they are using educational institutions also. Islamic Chhatra Shibir, students organization of Jamaat-e-Islam. They are highly affiliated to the Jamaat-e-Islam of Pakistan. They are previous linkage with ISI, and they have huge network with other international terrorist organizations. There are huge examples of their members actively engaging in terrorist activities. So they are now freely campaigning, organizing in the educational institutions, in the universities, and the state machinery is also supporting them by giving training programs, by giving other priorities to this sort of organizational members. So these are happening randomly. And also, that the involvement with Pakistan as a state and other that private organizations, terrorist organizations, radical Islamist organizations, they are freely moving around Bangladesh. They are doing those things. And ISI officers are randomly visiting Bangladesh. So this is a threat for Bangladesh also. This is actually a humiliation for our the independence war legacy. And it also it is also make the people Bangladesh more unsafe. I think it become a ground for a playground for the international terrorist network, actually.
Right. Kulbir Krishnji, what do we do?
See, Bangladesh is clearly in the hands of fundamentalist Islamic forces. And Yunus has been playing along. In fact, he denies that there are any atrocities on Hindus or Christians or other minorities. And the way the Jamaat-e-Islami and its cohorts are ruling the roost, it's very clear that till he is there, we are going to have a very tough time. But we have so many levers, and I do not understand why we do not use them to bring him to heel. You know, just like he says that India's northeast is landlocked by Bangladesh. Well, Bangladesh itself is landlocked by India. They have only a small border with Myanmar, you know. And their rice comes from us, their beef comes from us, their oil comes from us. You know, they'll starve to death if we stop all these things. And that's all. These non-kinetic measures have to be taken to bring, you know, if their inflation goes to 100%, what will happen to Yunus? Secondly, as far as Turkey is concerned, it's a much more serious problem. And we have been, you know, playing up Greece and Armenia, you know, and building up relations with them and providing them arms, etc. But Turkey also, I feel that the Riot Act has to be read out to them. And what Ambassador Vora was saying is 100% correct. Most of you may not be aware, during the time of partition, there was a Muslim League slogan which said, "Haste haste liya hai Pakistan, ladke lenge Hindustan." This ideology is there in Field Marshal Munir. And, you know, although Operation Sindoor should have knocked some sense into him, it has only inflated his ego. So we are in a very tough position, but we have to safeguard ourselves. We have to fight on all fronts. You know?
Right. Sometimes it is good to be bad, sir, and good people. That doesn't take you away from being a good person. But nice people finish last. You can't afford to be nice. There's a difference between being good and nice. I have limited